Of all the countries I've travelled to in the world, and the situations I've seen, nothing prepared me for returning to Yemen during its devastating war and worsening humanitarian crisis. There are so few aid workers and journalists that can access the country's hardest hit areas that it feels as though the crisis is escalating without the world knowing. This is a story that I'm struggling to tell, where the words and images only capture a small part of the situation and emotions. This is Yemen, a country forgotten.
So I've spent the last 3 hours convincing the tribe to let me in. My name has now become Al-Mahdi. That's everyone's name here in the tribe. Al-Mahdi, so that's apparently my new name. Cool.
Many people in Yemen don't even remember how this war started, and with so many factions, terrorist groups, governments and tribes involved now, no one seems to care who wins anymore. The answer is no one wins. Yemenis just want survival, the basic essentials we all deserve, and without them the country has been choked to the point that it is facing one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. 14 million people here are on the brink of famine, and away from the dangers of war, terrorist attacks, landmines and even cyclones this year that was barely reported, cholera and widespread food shortages mean that Yemen needs support more than ever. Assalamu alaikum, the phrase everyone greeted me with in Yemen. May peace be upon you. In a country that has been torn apart, where everyone from young boys to old men carry around weapons to protect themselves and their family, the hope of peace and survival is everywhere.
Fucking insane. Seriously, fucking insane. Just come here and pick it up. Nothing. Just get the size of the magazines.
When our car had a puncture, the people all stopped to help. When people had a little food, they shared it. Bedouins invited me to rest in their camp.
It's a camp of where some people are living. This kind of...
People want to help each other, but we need to help them. Vital supplies for survival are sometimes stopped at the border for up to a week. Water is largely undrinkable, and shelters are as basic as they can get. I met a mother who told me she had a choice to make which of her children she had to stop feeding. The situation is critical and devastating. Children are running out around for scraps of food left on the streets, and were even clinging onto my car, begging for more as we drove along. As I left Yemen, I handed the most adorable little girl the last of my money I had. The beaming smile on her face was the most heartwarming sight I had seen here, but for me was the realisation that unless more help is provided, she has to beg again to survive tomorrow, as so many of the children in this country have to. If the international community does not support the people of Yemen, we'll all be responsible for what will be one of the worst genocides in history. This is preventable.